the spiritual path is all forgetting and remembering. And even the idea that we're supposed to do it on our own is another role and identity that we're hooked into. It's some glorious hero spiritual identity thing. We're meant to wake up together. So it's in that spirit I want to share a story that I've always loved, and it's written in first person. When I was a freshman in high school, I saw a kid from my class was walking home from school. His name was Kyle. He looked like he was carrying all his books. I thought to myself, why would anyone bring all his books home on a Friday? He must be a real nerd. I had quite a weekend planned, football game, parties, etc., so I shrugged my shoulders and went on. As I was walking, I saw a bunch of kids running toward him. They ran at him, knocking all his books out of his arms and tripping him so he landed in the dirt. His glasses went flying, and I saw them land in the grass about 10 feet from him. He looked up, and I saw this terrible sadness in his eyes, and my heart went out to him. So I jogged over to him, and as he crawled around looking for his glasses, I saw a tear. As I handed him his glasses, I said, "Those guys are jerks. They really should get lives." He looked at me and said, "Hey, thanks." And there was this big smile on his face. It was one of those smiles that showed real gratitude. I helped him pick up his books and asked him where he lived. As it turned out, he lived near me, so I asked him why I'd never seen him before. He had gone to private school and was now transferred over. I had never hung out with private school kid before, so we talked all the way home, and I carried some of his books. Turned out to be a pretty cool kid. I asked him if he wanted to play a little football with my friends, and he said yes. We hung out all weekend, and the more I got to know Kyle, the more I liked him, and my friends thought the same. Monday morning came, and there was Kyle with that huge stack of books again. I stopped and said, "Boy, you're really going to build some big muscles with this pile of books every day." And he just laughed and handed me half the books. Over the next 4 years, Kyle and I became best friends. When we were seniors, we began to think about college. Kyle decided on Georgetown, and I was going to Duke. I knew that we'd always be friends, that the miles would never be a problem. He was going to be a doctor. I was going for business on a football scholarship. Kyle was valedictorian of our class. I teased him all the time about being a nerd. He had to prepare a speech for graduation. I was so glad it wasn't me having to get up there and speak. Graduation day, I saw Kyle, and he looked great. He was one of those guys that really found himself during high school. He filled that out and actually looked good in glasses. He had more dates than I had, and all the girls loved him. Boy, sometimes I was jealous, and today was one of those days. I could see he was nervous about his speech, so I smacked him on the back and said, "Hey, big guy, you'll be great." He looked at me with one of those looks, the really grateful one, and smiled. As he started his speech, he cleared his throat and began. Graduation is a time to thank those who helped you make it through these tough years, your parents, your sisters, your siblings, maybe a coach, but mostly your friends. I'm here to tell you that being a friend to someone is the best gift you can give them. And I'm going to tell you a story. I just looked at my friend with disbelief as he told the story of the first day we met. He had planned to kill himself over the weekend. He talked of how he had cleaned out his locker so his mom wouldn't have to do it later and was carrying his stuff home. He looked hard at me and gave me a little smile. Thankfully, I was saved. My friend saved me from doing the unspeakable. I heard the gasp go through the crowd as this well-loved boy told us all about his weakest moment. I saw his mom and dad looking at me and smiling that same grateful smile. Not until that moment did I realize its depth. Never underestimate the power of your caring. With one small gesture, you can change a person's life. We're really not in it alone. And sometimes when we're not actively involved with others, it's really important just to bring them to mind, to remind us of caring and connection.